issuance of one or more series of general obligation bonds for the purpose of funding a project consisting of: one, currently refunding the school district's outstanding federally taxable general obligation bond series A of 2016. Number two, currently refunding the school district's outstanding general obligation bonds series B of 2016. Number three, currently refunding the school district's outstanding general obligation note series of 2017. And four, paying the costs and expenses of issuance of the bonds, all as more fully described in the complete text of the resolution.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mr. Foley, seconded by Mr. Bukowski. Anyone on the question? Mrs. Dixon, can we have a roll call on this item, please?
Yes. Mr. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Bukowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Tanner?
Yes.
Mrs. Casada?
Yes.
Mr. Kishore?
Yes.
Mr. Barrett?
Yes.
Mrs. Dixon, yes. Mr. Luchansky?
Yes.
Mr. Berezinski?
Yes, motion carries. Under letter C, this Grant Chamber membership renewal, can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of $570 for the renewal of the Grant Chamber of Commerce membership.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Barrett, seconded by Mr. Luchansky. Anyone on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Let the record show. Mr. Kishore is a no. Mr. Kishore is not sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, motion passes 8-1. Letter D, tax protest account. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the opening of a tax protest account with Eagle Security Bank and Trust.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Kishore, seconded by Mr. Luchansky. Anyone on the question?
Could you just explain what tax protest account is?
Mr. Dolan, would you like to clarify why we're doing this?
The parcel in question, the property owner had filed a real estate tax assessment appeal. And pending that appeal, they are obligated to pay the taxes as the assessed value is currently placed. However, under the Tax Enabling Act, they do have a right to place you on notice that they're protesting the amount of the tax they're paying. Once that happens, the taxing body is required to escrow 25% of that tax payment. And the purpose of doing that is if they should be successful in obtaining a lower assessed value, there are funds there to reimburse them for the overpayment of taxes.
Thank you.
Donnie, is that the Niver still?
Yes.
And as of now, that's the only deposits that will be made into that account that we're aware of. Okay, anyone else on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Letter E, authorize the payment of the bills. Can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the list of bills payable September 17, 2020 through October 21st, 2020 as submitted, and to attach a copy of the same in the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mrs. Tanner, seconded by Mr. Barrett, I believe.
Yes.
Sometimes I can't hear right here.
Yes.
Anyone on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Bukowski was a no.
Did you say no? Give me just a second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, motion passes 8-1. Under letter Roberts, treasurer's report. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as posted and to attach a copy of same to the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Barrett, seconded by Mr. Kishore. Anyone on the question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, the list of checks received. Can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion that the list of checks received be approved and posted and placed in the proper accounts.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mrs. Tanner, seconded by Mr. Kishore. Anyone on the question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, the activity report. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion that the activity fund report be approved as posted and to attach a copy of the same to the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Barrett, seconded by Mr. Kishore. Anyone else on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Under number 4, the cafeteria report. Can I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the cafeteria report as posted and to attach a copy of the same minutes.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mrs. Pasoda, seconded by Mr. Lachansky. Anyone on the question?
Mr. Sheehan, I'm just always looking at the statement here, their operating statement. Are most of the students that are in school, are they taking advantage of free breakfast and free lunch or?
I'd say more on the lunch side than on the breakfast side, but I think our numbers are improving every day.
Yeah, and how about staff? How does that work with them? Are we doing anything for staff, or they're just getting their lunch break as normal?
Correct.
Okay.
Anyone else on the question? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Under informational, Mr. Sheehan, would you like to address?
Sure, in your packets, we get an annual notification after a review of IDEA policies, practices, and procedures. So the state of Pennsylvania is well within compliance, and further down, they do review each LEA, local education agency. Mid-Valley School District was also in substantial compliance there as well. So that's related to our special education services.
Okay, under our meetings held last Wednesday, October.
One other piece, just an informational item. One of our new policies I explained last week, we had a local policy 123.2 will now be renumbered to 123.3. That's a policy pertaining to participation in clinics for coaches.
Okay, thank you. We had our meetings held. We had a work session last Wednesday at 6 o'clock, followed by an executive session for personnel and legal matters. And then this evening, we started with an executive session for personnel and legal matters at 6 p.m. Our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, November 11th, which is our regular work session meeting at 6 p.m. Location to be determined as we keep going through the county guidelines. And then on November 18th is our regular school board meeting at 7 p.m. At this time, could entertain comments and questions from the public.
Guess I'm the public.
Everyone be quiet. Audience, quiet.
Me and my army. What was I going to say? I wanted, I'm sorry, Dawn DiQuavedo. I knew there was something I was forgetting. Dawn DiQuavedo, I live at 833 East Lackawanna Avenue on Oliphant. My son is in 9th grade. This year has been daunting for all of us in so many ways, but like many parents, I'm really grateful for the Herculean efforts made by our educators on behalf of our children. The year did not start smoothly. However, after a couple of weeks, all of my son's teachers began teaching live for all of his classes. Actually, except one, but it was the cycle class, so I wasn't as worried about it. This means that even on the days that he is not in school and that he is at home, he still has live education with all of his teachers and classmates. And it's going as well as it can go. I mean, it has glitches, it has errors. One day, all of Oliphant was out of internet. It wasn't the school, other days it's the school, but we all are rolling with those punches. The idea of unprecedented really means we haven't done it before, and so it's understandable that there are going to be some glitches. It really just means that we need to continue to tweak things in order to improve the educational experience for our students. One glitch is the attendance policy. My son is a hybrid student. On Tuesday, following Columbus Day, he woke up coughing. He is an allergy kid. He had no other symptoms. He smelled, he ate, he didn't vomit. I didn't feel he had COVID, but I didn't want to send this kid in who was coughing into the building. So I followed what I felt was the protocol, and I called the school and explained and said he will attend all of his classes virtually. He then logged in and emailed every single one of his teachers and explained the situation. He attended every live class. The only class that he didn't attend was that last one, but he still got on and did the work for the day. He was marked absent. So I thought, well, that has to be an error. I'll call the school. So I called and I found out, no. If a student who is hybrid stays home because they're ill, but participates all day in their instruction, is marked present by all of the teachers, including his homeroom teacher, the mistake was mine. Had I not called, he would not have been marked absent. But because I did, he was marked absent, unexcused, for the day. A student who is fully virtual has to log on by 11:59 p.m. every night. They do not need to do any work. They do not have to attend any live classes. They have to fill out a Google form by 11:59 p.m. at night. But a student who is hybrid, who stays home because of a health concern on a hybrid in-person day, is marked absent. After 10 unexcused, or actually excused or unexcused by state policy, he will be brought to truancy. In the future, if he decides he wants to join a team, go on to the National Honor Society, his attendance record will follow him. And there are several different things at Mid-Valley that look at attendance in order for the student to be able to participate. Honors and awards that he could be eligible for, he won't be considered for if he were to accumulate absences in his freshman year. The fact that he engaged in his education did not matter. The administration has been very clear that they do not care whether he attends or not. I think that's a problem. I think this policy encourages students to come to school sick, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. The next time my kid wakes up coughing, and he has Tourette syndrome, he has a coughing tic, that's fun in the pandemic, I'm sending him to school. If he's not vomiting, if he doesn't have a fever, if he says he can smell and taste, he doesn't have diarrhea, he will go to school. And the school can determine that he's not well enough to stay. Because if he's going to be punished, because this boy said to me, well, why did I bother to go on to all my classes if I'm going to be punished? So if that's what the case is going to be, I'll send him in, so at least it's an excused absence. But that policy is discouraging students from accessing their education. Other schools, and by recommendation of the state, have attendance codes that cover this. Attendance is absolutely something kids need for success, or you wouldn't have voted to keep them in hybrid tonight, ignoring the advice of the state. Because you want your students in school. You want them to access their education. But this policy is saying, don't access your education, kids. It doesn't matter anyway. We're going to punish you. Attendance isn't for punishment, but it is to bring kids in who need to be in school, who need to access their education, right? We all know that. It also is for tracking, and now it's for contact tracing. We need to know who's in the building, right? You have to, if somebody is positive, you have to know who was in the classrooms. It's a simple fix. You have another attendance code. You have present in building codes, and you have a code that indicates the kid was present for their learning. It's very simple. If the kid doesn't access their education during the day, they don't get that code. It's very simple. It's not a big deal. It's supported by the state on the state website, and it's being done by your other local districts. My second thing, because I've been told the pieces of the state information they pulled that off of the state website for that attendance. Not the full thing, just a little synopsis. So on that case, they've decided to follow that piece the state is recommending, not a policy from the state, it is recommended. But the state also recommended that you close, and you're choosing not to. I get it. I know we don't have a lot of cases in our environment here in the Mid-Valley, but like Mr. Foley said, we don't know what's coming. Keeping us open in a virtual setting, you're rolling your dice. You're assuming, Mr. Koshurik, that you know more than what the state is telling. You, Mr. Koshurik, you know more than all the experts in the state. So keep that in mind when you're making these decisions. Pick and choose. You pick and choose what you're going to use from the state. Not all students are receiving the education that my son is receiving. So I'm not here saying this on behalf of my child, because actually I'm pretty pleased with what has occurred in the 9th grade. I'm sure, Mary Ruth, you know what is happening because your son is also in 9th grade. That's not true for other students in the district. I work with a woman whose son is in 7th grade. Daughter is in 8th grade. Every week they go to school on Monday and Tuesday. They learn. They come home. The daughter has live classes because she's in 9th grade. So she has live classes on Thursday and Friday. Busy all day. The son plays video games all day. He has nothing. I have a friend whose child is a kindergartner. Goes to hybrid 2 days a week. That's it. There's nothing else. The neighbor of that person has a kindergartner in the full virtual. 5 days a week, a teacher's getting on and meeting with that child. So there's just an inequity, and I think these are just things that have to be addressed. We're gonna keep going in this hybrid model. It's not time to sit back and say, oh, it's all good, we don't have to do anything. We should be continuing to tweak and look at instruction to make sure that we're giving our children everything they should have. And finally, I just want to say how disappointed I am that the school board has chosen to hold the meetings only in person. Even as numbers in our county are rising, our state and nation numbers are rising, you want to meet in person. And it's pretty clear to me why, because there's no one else here. I said, me and my army, I'm the only one here. And I was live streaming and the live stream got shut down because the Wi-Fi got turned off. Not a problem. I've recorded the rest of it and I'll post it for those who want to watch. There are people in our community who can't come to these meetings. They're immunosuppressed, or their mental health has been affected by the pandemic and they don't feel comfortable coming into the school building. There's no big cost. It's not a big deal for this to be live streamed. You've been live streaming it for months, but instead you voted on a very, very important thing tonight, which was not on the agenda, thrown in it as an addendum after the posting of the agenda and done in secret, because there are only 3 witnesses right here. And I'm the only one that's going to say a word. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Decovato.